What's going on, everyone? I am just a typical, average American here today to react to some pretty crazy stuff that's being said about all the wildfires currently ravaging Canada. I mean, you'd think that, Americans, and including the United States government, that we'd be offering our sympathy and our support for all the tragedy that Canada is currently dealing with. But no. This is the United States we're talking about, and I guess we're mad. Yes, we're mad now at the smoke. The smoke. Geez, come on, guys. Like, you're you blowing all this smoke into our country, like from your burning countryside. What's wrong with you? Right? That's a big inconvenience to us. That's annoying. You think you guys have problems? That your homes are burning? We got smoke. Like, come on. So, yeah, I mean, you can't really make this up. So instead of offering like empathy or even like some support or help, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, made a different kind of statement about this. He posted this. It says, "We are holding Canada responsible for the fact that they are not properly maintaining their forests and brush therein. And the United States is being unnecessarily invaded. That's right, invaded by your filthy, polluted, unhealthy air, the quality of which is dangerous and totally unacceptable." I mean, you literally can't make this up. Like, our friend and ally and neighbor, Canada, is burning. And all Donald Trump can think about is how it's affecting us with some smoke. I mean, talk about the most tone deaf, inconsiderate, unimaginable kind of response you could come up with. Like, this could have been a post about how the United States, like, we feel a lot of sympathy for Canada, and we are putting together a big task force, and we're very proud to help our neighbor Canada with your wildfires, and we're going to tackle this together, and we're going to figure this out. No, that would be far too reasonable. That would be far too much good in this world. Instead, Donald Trump is mad that the pollution, the smoke, and I've seen some clips on social media of like Americans who are actually like upset as well. Like, this is not just Donald Trump. Like, it's unbelievable, frankly. It says, "I will call the prime minister during the day to find out what Canada is going to do about it." Yeah, well, come on, get your act together, get a grip, build some fans or something, right? I don't know. Get your act together. Figure out what you're going to do about it. That's what Donald, build a glass containment wall or something to keep the smoke on your side. It's so stupid that this is a real thing that Donald Trump is complaining about. I mean, basically, it's like it's the most tone deaf, inconsiderate. It's crazy. It's like if your friend, if you were standing there on the street and some guy, some crazy murderer with an axe came up to you and your friend, and they chopped off your friend's leg, chopped it off, and then the blood spurted like onto your clothing, and you're like, "What's your problem, man?" Like, you you got blood all over my nice clothing, but your friend's leg just got cut off and you're worried about your clothes getting blood on it. That's it's so weird. That's the analogy that comes to my mind. But, it's not that far off. It's like your ally is under so much, you know, damage and distress, and you're just worried about yourself. It says, let's keep going. It says the cost is incalculable. Canada has refused to engage in basic forest management and debris removal, knowing that such refusal will lead to exactly this result. This just doesn't make any kind of sense to me. That Donald Trump is complaining that Canada is refusing to take steps to prevent the wildfires and prevent this kind of thing in Canada. Wildfires, I understand, have been a big problem in Canada. And it's been a problem in the United States as well before. As a matter of fact, I did a video just the other day reacting to the Canadian water bombers, the Canadian-made airplanes that drop water on fires, forest fires and wildfires to help put them out. And Canada has actually helped put out a lot of American fires and saved a lot of us in our lives, in our homes. And it definitely goes to show that Canada knows what it's doing when it comes to, battling and controlling wildfires. So, in addition to the Canadian technology for fighting wildfires, like, if you just think about this for 2 seconds, it's in Canada's interest to not have all of this happen. Canada doesn't want to be on fire. This should not be difficult for any American, including even Donald Trump, to grasp this concept. This is not good for Canada. Like, Canada does not want this. It is reasonable to assume you guys are doing, everything in your power or ability to not have this kind of thing happen. It just turns out that this is very, very, very difficult thing to control and to stop, right? Some of these get started when like a random lightning bolt strikes a random part of the forest, right? How do you stop that? So the idea that we're blaming Canada for the wildfires, and then taking it a step further, blaming you for the smoke and pollution coming into the United States, which is literally controlled by the wind. So we're asking you to control the forces of nature, I guess, or if you Google this, how much forest Canada has, it says Canada has roughly 800,000 square miles of forest and wooded land. The majority is boreal forest, the kind of forest that's most susceptible for wildfire. 2 million square miles. If you think about 1,000 miles, think of 1,000 miles of forest. You'd be like, that's a big forest. That's huge. 1,000 square miles of forest. You'd be like, oh my God, the biggest forest I've ever been in. This is you could never contain the force of nature onto this forest. We're not talking about 1,000 miles. We're talking about 800,000 miles of forest that Donald Trump is demanding that Canada try to stop this from happening. So, this is willful negligence becoming a yearly occurrence, costing the United States billions of dollars, which it's just us. Canada is burning, but it's all about us and how much this is costing us. Yeah, okay. Let's I can't help but keep thinking of that. Which cost of this pollution must be of necessity be added to the tariffs Canada is paying for. Somehow, Canadian wildfires, you guys should be charged more tariffs because of your wildfires. Like, how the hell did we get to that? Like, it's unbelievable. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is it's sad that parts of the United States have smoke in it. Like, I'm sure that's annoying. Like, and I'm sure some people with health conditions are suffering. Like, it's not a good thing that the US has smoke coming from Canada, but that's it's not Canada's fault. And it's like or something that we should be mad about or demanding you do something about is just so it's like no one is saying none of this is good. Everyone agrees none of this is good. But somehow the United States is turning this into a blaming thing. Here's some comments on social media about this. When the United States get wildfires, Canada sends planes. When Canada gets wildfires, the US sends complaints. Exactly. I invite those thinking Canada screwed up the American oxygen on purpose. Oh, I invite those who are thinking that Canada screwed up the American oxygen on purpose to ask themselves, who on earth has power over the wind? Yeah. Seriously, we're complaining that the wind is blowing this stuff from Canada to the US. I'm sure this has happened the other direction at some point. Smoke from the US from a wildfire has gone into Canada. I never heard you guys complain about it. So, can Canada charge tariffs from tornadoes and hurricanes coming from the United States? Yeah, no kidding. Exactly. This is like an SNL skit. It's sad that like this is real life and that it sounds like it should be some kind of joke. Like this should be a comedy skit, but it's real life. I don't even know if that's funny. Like it's funny in some sense, but it's gone beyond funny. It's just sad. I didn't realize Minnesota had become part of Canada. There are several forest fires going. Yeah, there's forest fires that happen in the United States. Absolutely. On top of Donald Trump saying a lot of stupid stuff about this, we have U.S. representatives, like from Michigan, getting angry at Canada. Here, for example.
There's a tenant in life: be a good neighbor. This is not a State Farm commercial. Canada is not being the good neighbor that it needs to be.
Is this for real? Like, these are really our politicians? Like, these represent the United States. This guy represents me. Yeah, I'm not in Michigan, but he's actually mad at Canada for, like,
4 Republicans from Michigan's congressional delegation, Jack Bergman, John Molinard, John James, and Lisa McClain, sending a letter to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney as more than 800 fires scorch his country.
Our summertime is such a uniquely wonderful time, and to have it unnecessarily negatively impacted by the carelessness of our neighbors to the north.
what I would almost think this is like rage bait. Like he's purposefully trying to make Canadians mad. But that's giving him too much credit. This is that I want this to be a satire or something. This is his genuine thoughts. Like this is ruining our summer. This is ruining Americans' summer. We want to be in the pool, and we got the ashes coming in from burning Canadian houses, really inconveniencing us. Like that's really what we're saying.
Deserves, well, a letter at the very least.
The representatives writing that Canada is shirking its responsibility to manage forests.
Okay. Why don't we get some specific examples, specific requests? What exactly does the United States want Canada to be doing right now? What, or even before this? Why? I'd like to hear that because all I hear is complain, complain, complain without anybody offering any kind of solution or strategy or even like a demand besides fix this, Canada. Like, this is your fault. What should Canada have done? What could they have done better? What could they have done? Like, what is supposed to change? How do you stop the wind from blowing smoke from one country to another? You know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna complain about this, at least say exactly what you want.
And prevent fires that are pumping smoke over the border.
Businesses are being
And by the way, the reason they don't do that is because there's nothing, they can't. There's nothing to ask. There's no logical conclusion to this demand. You know, I'm sure Canada is doing most everything it can be doing to not have its country burning. Like, it's so. Oh my God.
hurt. Health is being impacted by those who might be asthmatic or have different respiratory situations.
In 2020,
Yeah. Yeah. When you're running out of your burning home, think about the American asthmatics, like who have to stay inside because of the smoke from your home.
another year where smoke filled Michigan's skies, Canada reported coordinating 44 wildfire risk reduction projects, including removing excess vegetation over more than 1,700 acres.
Of course. Trying to that gives you a good idea of sort of the insurmountable task Canada has, removing 700 acres of flammable substance or dead plants from your forest. 700 acres of that. That would be like 1% of what Canada has to do to make it totally free from wildfire risk, right? Like, it's really scary, actually.
But with the return of a thick haze, lawmakers' patience running out.
It's just like being shall we say, an irresponsible member of a family who's not picking up their share of the load.
The delegation in touch.
And just the disrespect of talking about this like it's just something Canada. It's like, oh, Canada, if you guys had just been more aware of, this existential threat to your country, you could have done something about it, you morons. It's like, of course Canada is aware of this. Americans never even talk about this until it affects us. And we're acting like we know everything about this.
With the Trump administration on the matter. And I asked Bergman what he'd do if Canada still doesn't act.
If they don't, then legislation is a possibility, but also a look at policies that we have that are not legislation, but they're policies. Those can be used as a tool to encourage our Canadian neighbors to be better stewards.
I sound like a broken record. Canada doesn't need to be encouraged to protect its own country from fire. Canada has all the incentive that you need. Canada does not want to have forest fires and wildfires. You don't want to be on fire. You don't want people to die, Canadians to suffer, and homes to be burned. You don't want any of that. You don't need Americans telling you that. And on top of all that, we're going to tariff you and penalize you and create legislation to be even more of a headache on top of all what's happening to you.
I pressed Bergman on what that would look like, but he did not say.
Of course. Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't say what Canada should do. Of course he didn't. Because it's just complaining without any answers or suggestions or help. Why aren't we just helping? This is something that's negatively affecting Canada. It's negatively affecting the United States. Why do we have to turn this into something we're fighting over? Why do we have to make enemies over this? Why not help? Why is that the approach all of a sudden? What's wrong with us? Why aren't we helping? What's happening? Like, why is this the way things are now? It's so sad. It's beyond sad. It's tragic. This is Pete Hoekstra, the Canadian ambassador to Canada, the American ambassador to Canada. That smoke must be, affecting my brain right now as well. Let's see what he has to say about this. Oh, great.
But the question is,
On
is
tariffs, though. That's what the president's threatening here. Tariffs over the wildfires.
Your question is this America's position?
Yes.
The president sets America's position. So that is the position of the president right now.
It is the position of the president that America is mad at the smoke coming from Canada, and we're going to penalize, we're going to tariff you. That is our position. Can we say that that's a stupid, ridiculous, embarrassing position? Can we admit that right now?
Yes.
How would that work? 232s, how would you possibly put tariffs on Canada because of the wildfires and still be CUSMA compliant? Because I know that's a big thing for you.
Jeez. I mean, look at him. Look, he's just staring. Just like Canadians are rightfully asking for clarity about this nonsense Trump is threatening. And our representatives are like, when asked for details, are like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
For you.
Jameson Greer and Howard Lutnick, I think we have lots of options to do things and to impose tariffs and that.
We have lots of options to do things. This is our government, right? This is what we got, lots of options to do things. I don't know. It's just so from an American perspective, because I know from a Canadian perspective, I don't have to be Canadian to know this all looks insane, and it's probably so disappointing and enraging. From an American point of view, for different reasons, just the sheer disappointment in my own country, in my own government, is enraging in a different way.
Specific mechanism is. I think the call to action, this is a call to action by the president in saying that there are potential consequences if we don't get to a resolution as to how we are going to be doing and addressing the issue of forest fires and smoke. This is the fourth year in a row where we've experienced these kinds of results in Michigan, and we've got another 6 weeks of firefighting or fire potential at its peak going through the end of July, all of August. Technically, fire season lasts until the end of October or middle of October, so that could be 10 more weeks, but at least 6 weeks of peak activity.
There have been additional.
What an amazing way to say nothing for a minute that I'll never get back. What the most brainless, politician mumbo jumbo. He might as well have said, yeah, that's an interesting thought. We'll circle back and reconnect about that, and we're doing some things to manage that, and we'll get together and collaborate and see what happens. He might as well. It was nothing. He said nothing to answer the question. Okay. Except that we can do things. Sure. This is, I think this is some examples of Americans, just everyday normal Americans who are in these states with the smoke, talking about this.
Heavy smoke brought on by hundreds of Canadian wildfires is enveloping many American cities, including the capital, Washington, D.C., obscuring major landmarks and affecting the air quality for locals and tourists.
God forbid that they can't perfectly see the Lincoln Memorial for a few weeks.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. I was walking up here from the African American Museum, and I was a little nervous about my lungs and breathing it in.
I do have asthma, so I feel like it's going to end up getting to me a little bit after walking all around DC and everything.
And again, I don't want to just rip into normal people who they have health problems. And again, the smoke is bad. It's annoying, I'm sure, and it's got health concerns. I think the big takeaway is just like, we need to get our priorities in order. What's happening in the US, it's bad, it's annoying, it's hurting some people. What's happening in Canada is 1,000 times worse, and we need to get a grip and acknowledge that. Stop complaining, actually do something about it, and help our friends.
You could see the smog and you could actually smell the smoke.
I don't really like the smoke. It's just because it's so smoky. I don't like it.
All right, I'm not gonna make fun of like a child. Like, yeah, it's annoying. I get it, but I don't think she knows what her government representatives are saying right now about all this. That makes it really bad. This is Canadian leaders talking, reacting to some of the situation, which I would like to hear the Canadian response to this.
U.S. skies covered in smoke and haze from Canadian wildfires. American lawmakers criticizing and blaming Canada for it. The president has even threatened tariffs.
I find it a shame the administration in the U.S. and Congress people writing these letters and blaming us.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford hitting back today.
They have a very short memory. We had the water bombers, everyone ready, going over to California. It was last year.
Yeah.
We sent down hydro linemen down to the Carolinas and Georgia to help out. That's what neighbors do.
That's right. The LA wildfires last year, Canada was sending tons of aid to that. Not complaining about it, helping.
Right? You don't get on and start threatening and criticizing, because guess what? One day it's going to be your turn.
What? I mean, you hate to have to say it like that, but it's like, I understand the sheer frustration coming from Canada.
In a Friday social media post, U.S. President Donald Trump said he is holding Canada responsible, calling the wildfire smoke willful negligence, adding the cost must be added to the tariffs Canada is currently paying.
Again, somehow, wildfire smoke, you guys should be charged for that. Somehow it has to do with tariff somehow. Everything is a tariff.
In terms of what we do for forest management, which is of course one of the issues that the president has raised, we follow evidence-based scientific techniques.
The wildfire smoke.
I'm sure Canada does a lot, a lot for trying to prevent wildfire. Like, this is a known problem. I don't need to say it again that Canada already is aware of this problem and trying to stop it. It just seems impossible, frankly, or else you would.
Has become political. Trump's threat is the latest in a string of claims from U.S. politicians that Canada hasn't done enough.
You haven't done enough.
What we're seeing here is a president who, once again, is doubling down on his level of enmity.
Hazy New Jersey skies even drew concerns about the fate of tomorrow's World Cup final.
Yeah. How are we going to play soccer if Canada is burning to the ground? Like, how are we going to see the soccer, guys? Come on. Seriously, what's your problem? A lot of complaining that Canada hasn't done enough. You haven't done enough. What should Canada have done? And if we are so desperate, it's like how when American government, when we complain about national security, like, oh, Canada doesn't have a big enough military or enough missiles, like, then we should give you some, I guess. If this is such a concern for the United States, if the fire and smoke is such a concern, maybe we should help. Maybe we should do something, instead of just complaining. This is Donald Trump talking about the wildfires. Okay.
Can I ask you, did you have a conversation with Carney from Canada today?
I did, yeah.
Oh, they asked, did he have a conversation with Mark Carney at the World Cup? At the World Cup final. Okay.
How did that go?
Well, it went good, but I told him, you got to stop these fires from coming in and, poisoning our air. Our air has been poisoned.
I can only imagine the frustration of Mark Carney or Canadians when you just hear Trump saying, like, you have to stop the smoke from coming into the, like, if you're gonna have wildfires, whatever, fine, if that's what you want, but don't let the smoke come into our yard. Like, what?
Have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but you know, we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them.
I can't believe it. That's the first time in the entire video. The first. If we can help Canada, we will. Of course we can help. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Of course. What do you mean if we can?
But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs. But it was terrible. I mean, you had businesses closing. In particular.
Maybe you don't even want our help. Maybe you don't even want our help at this point.
Particular Michigan, if you look at Detroit, Michigan here, they had to close everything. They had to close car plants and a lot of other things. So I've never remembered this happening. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you saw it starting to take place. I've never remembered it happening before.
Again, like, it's pretty obvious this whole situation is tragic for Canada. And the American reaction is pretty insane, pretty tone deaf, pretty unsympathetic, pretty sad, honestly, pretty embarrassing on our part. Again, just to reiterate, none of this is good. Like, Canada is suffering in a huge way. That's bad. America is suffering in some ways, with smoke, and that's bad too. I'll admit that. You know, anyone would say, yeah, that's bad. It's not as much of a problem compared to Canada's problems, but it's bad. None of this is good. It's just the response to it all from the US is so disappointing when it should be that of supporting Canada, collaborating, offering help. You know, that's the way it should be. And it's just sad to see we've almost taken on the opposite approach. So it's just extremely disappointing. We're going in the totally wrong direction here. It's sad, and I at least gotta, you know, speak my piece as an American and point out the madness that's going on from our end. So hopefully hopefully we do extend aid to Canada. And you guys have, oh man, luck or whatever you need. I know it's not just luck, it's like a lot of skilled people and volunteers and professionals who fight these wildfires, putting themselves in harm's way, and hopefully they're able to do what they need to do, and maybe you get some luck with the weather, you know, and this wildfire stuff can not be as bad. I mean, I know it's like peak season right now, so it's hard to kid ourselves and be like, oh, maybe this will just go away tomorrow. It's like, I know that's not going to happen. So hopefully all of this can somehow go in a better direction, you know, and the damage can be minimized, or the US can snap out of this stupidity funk and do something productive. And yeah, I hope the best for Canada. It's very sad what's happening. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like, or leave a comment with your thoughts on all this, especially if you're Canadian. That'd be great to hear your perspective on what the US is saying right now. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.